Empathy is the ability to share and understand the feelings of others. But how does empathy relate to screenwriting? And to answer that question, I want to turn to the filmmaker Andrew Stanton of Pixar, where in his wildly popular TED Talk, he states that the greatest story commandment of all is to make the audience care.
The children's television host, Mr. Rogers, always carried in his wallet a quote from a social worker that said, "Frankly, there isn't anyone you couldn't learn to love once you've heard their story." And the way I like to interpret that is probably the most greatest story commandment, which is make me care. Please, emotionally, intellectually, aesthetically, just make me care.
Well, then that begs the question, how do we make the audience care about our characters? Despite traditional advice, I believe making the audience care about our characters has nothing to do with making them likable or trying to garner sympathy. That's not to say giving characters admirable traits and showing the audience that our characters care for something other than themselves is wrong. But my point is, making the audience like or feel sorry for a character won't necessarily make them care about our characters. The audience needs to feel with the characters of our story and connect with them on a deeper level. And by focusing on sympathy and likability without the involvement of empathy, we are subverting this feeling. Robert McKee states in his book Story, the audience's emotional involvement is held by the glue of empathy. Thus, we can state, if you want to make the audience care about a character, then create empathy. Which is why today I want to focus on what I believe to be the most effective way of establishing empathy by using something that I call the empathetic story. The empathetic story is a story that highlights a traumatic event in a character's life. It's purposefully used by writers to make the audience understand and connect with a character. The audience can experience the empathetic story through either the protagonist's dialogue, the antagonist's dialogue, a secondary character's dialogue, a voiceover in the present or a flashback, or in real-time action or as a flashback. And it should be noted that the empathetic story is commonly found in the beginning of a script, but this is not always the case. The empathetic story can be weaved in wherever the story deems necessary. So in summary, the audience can experience the empathetic story from any character through either real-time action, the use of voiceover, or directly through character dialogue. But that's just the beginning. Aside from making the audience care, if used efficiently, the empathetic story is extremely powerful when it comes time to fulfilling many of your story's fundamental needs, such as establishing the conscious and unconscious desire, establishing the state of the world from a character's perspective as well as their belief system. It can be used to inspire, motivate, convince, warn, or intimidate a character into taking a specific course of action, or trying to change their way of thinking. The empathetic story excels at offering insight into a character's major trauma so that the audience understands why a character is behaving the way that they do. The empathetic story can also be used to foreshadow events that are still to come, raise questions that need to be answered, establish image systems, metaphors, and symbols, while also creating an opportunity for characters to relate and build relationships with one another. Finally, and possibly the most important story need, the empathetic story can be used to establish a starting point for a character transformation. So when we revisit the question of how do you make the audience care about your characters, well, now we are equipped with the most important tool in the writer's toolbox, the empathetic story. With that said, I hope you're now thinking beyond the basic idea of making your characters likable and now are thinking about using your own version of the empathetic story. I also hope this video has illuminated the importance of empathy in regards to screenwriting. And if you're looking for ideas and inspiration for your character's empathetic story, I urge you to look within your history, specifically your own trauma. And as cliche as it sounds, write what you know. And on that note, I'll close today's video with Andrew Stanton's closing remarks to his TED Talk.
And that's the first story lesson I ever learned. Use what you know, draw from it. doesn't always mean plot or fact. It means capturing a truth from your experiencing, expressing values you personally feel deep down to your core. And that's what ultimately led me to speaking to you here at TED Talk today. Thank you.
If you like this video and would like to see more content like this, then hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments below your favorite empathetic story and what you thought about it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.